Welcome back to another episode of the Lunch and Learn series presented by Rehab Your Life. Today, we are going to be talking about circle of influence. And as usual, I always start these presentations with telling you who I am. My name is Karen Malone. I am the founder and executive director of Rehab Your Life Incorporated. I have a bachelor's degree in workforce education and training and a master's in rehabilitation counseling. I'm also a certified rehabilitation counselor as well as a certified community health worker. My motto is in order to rehab your life, you have to renew your mind. And that's what we are about at Rehab Your Life. So, all of our trainings are going to do something in line with trying to challenge you in terms of changing your thinking. So, today we are going to talk about the circle of influence. Um, the things that we're going to talk about today is whether you are an influencer or you're being influenced, the three types of social influence that we experience, and then we're going to dive deep into your circle of influence. So, as I said, we all can be an influencer or we can be influenced. Social media has really blown up over the last few years. And a poll recently taken stated that 92% of people actually believed and would follow the guidance of someone who is a social media influencer instead of what is actually advertised on television. So the power of our words is very important. But we want to be able to consider the social media influencers that we follow, like on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and those in our inner circle. You may not feel that you are either being influenced or are the influencer, but especially in our inner circles, we have to be mindful of who we allow in that inner circle. So let's talk a little bit first about social influence. Social influences may have an effect on many different levels in a person's life. They can change the way a person thinks or their attitude that they hold based on the desire either to conform with the predominant social group or to assert a distinction from it. Because social influences can alter a person's thinking and beliefs, they can also impact their actions, patterns of behavior that they adopt as well. And these changes can manifest themselves in many ways. So here are a few examples. A woman purchases all of the ingredients for the latest diet fad to lose weight, but struggles to consistently drink the concoction. A woman joins a Facebook group because she knows that all of her friends have joined the group, even though she's not really interested in the topics being discussed. Or let's say a business owner decides to sponsor or support a local charity, believing that this will bring him the goodwill of the community. Or a man decides to support a political candidate or party after realizing that some people he admires also supports this candidate or party. So there's informational versus normative social influence. And an important note about social influences is that they can be positive, neutral, or negative in effect. Again, consider the example of peer pressure. It may be morally neutral for that woman to purchase the latest diet fad because she wants to fit in with her peers. But on the other hand, it would be negative if she purchased it due to the influence of her skinny friends to lose weight so that she could fit in with them. So let's talk about informational social influence. This describes a situation in which individuals make decisions based on information or data that someone else has provided to them. The individual just accepts that the information provided is trustworthy and then changes their thinking, belief, or behavior accordingly. So, an example would be a man who's visiting a fancy restaurant for the first time. He doesn't really know the established etiquette for such an environment, but he's with a friend who's been to fancy restaurants many times. So to behave correctly, he simply emulates the behavior of his friend because he assumes that it is acceptable, when in actuality, it may or may not be. So then we have normative social influences. They work differently from informational social influences because the individual changes their beliefs or behaviors, not necessarily to be correct, but rather to be liked, accepted, or to just fit in. And so common examples of this type of peer pressure are helpful in understanding how normative social influences work. Anyone who engages in drinking, smoking, vandalism, or other examples of misbehavior to earn the respect of someone who is bullying them or to be in the in crowd is influenced by normative factors. And even as adults, we experience this. So let's talk about the three social influences. Social influence is an umbrella term for the different outside factors that may cause an individual to think or act in a particular way. There are three primary social influences that are paramount. The first one is conformity, compliance, and obedience. So let's look at conformity. Conformity occurs when individuals alter their actions, behaviors, or beliefs to gain the acceptance of a group, or to impress someone else, or to gain a sense of belonging. So, some examples of conformity would include returning someone's wave or verbal greeting, not wishing to be perceived as not having manners or being unfriendly or rude. Getting in line while waiting for a bus or a movie ticket. This is a social norm that most people just kind of comply with simply because it's become accepted as a practice within our community. Becoming a vegan or a vegetarian after being influenced by social peers, not wishing to be seen as someone who harms animals. Accepting and internalizing the beliefs of another person about climate change or other issues, believing that person to be a credible source of knowledge. And being in an ambiguous or unfamiliar social situation and then just mimicking the behavior of others in the group. We've all done these things, and it's not bad, but we want to be aware. Compliance. Compliance refers to any situation in which an individual changes their behavior because they're requested to do so. Compliance can be gained in different ways. Sometimes it comes as a result of a direct, explicit request. And in other situations, compliance may be gained more insidiously. So here are a couple examples. Imagine a friend asking, "Could you do me a favor?" This is an example of a social situation that involves compliance. If an individual responds to this question in the affirmative and grants the friend's requested favor, that is an example of exhibiting compliance. Compliance can also come into play in a sales pitch. Imagine a salesperson who arrives at your door. They demonstrate a product, they make such an impassioned pitch, and then directly ask the homeowner to make a purchase. If the homeowner agrees to do so, this is also an example of compliance. And compliance can also occur in response to online sales tactics. If individuals seen an online banner ad, click on it, and then end up making a purchase, they're complying with the process that business owner put into place for them to make a purchase. They're fulfilling the action that the advertiser wanted them to take, regardless of whether this action was requested implicitly or explicitly in the ad copy. And lastly, obedience. Obedience is similar to compliance, but with one critical distinction. In situations involving obedience, the individual responds not to a request from a peer, but rather to an order from someone in authority. Compliance and obedience involve different forms of motivation, and compliance is generally motivated by a desire to belong or to fit in, where obedience is generally motivated by a clear sense of social hierarchy. And so We just wanted to share information around the circle of influence. And we kind of went really technical on some of these at this point because these are societal norms. These are things that we may be doing that we don't even realize that we are doing. And the role of an individual in a social hierarchy can influence behavior. So, depending on where you are within your family, within your church, those kinds of things can actually influence your behavior. So, for example, someone who works as a surgeon or holds a position of authority in the military would conduct themselves differently from, a layperson or like a circus performer or someone. This stems from a social assumption that a surgeon or a military leader will be more serious or they have a different set of values than a trapeze artist. These things are not always right or wrong, but individuals will often behave in a way that fulfills the role that they play in society and the social assumptions that come with that. So we have to be very aware of how we fall into those social norms. So let's take it to a more personal level. Let's talk about your inner circle. There's a saying that I've always ascribed to. It says the five closest people to you describe who you are. So it's like, who are the five people in my circle? And so the question today is, what does your inner circle say about you? So if you look at the people within your circle, are they messy? Are they petty? Are they a gossiper? Are they organized? Are they bougie? Are they faithful? Are they trustworthy? Are they fun loving? Are they positive or negative? Again, we are influenced, kind of not even realizing it. But when you take a moment to look at those that are in your inner circle, what do those closest people to you say about you? So we're going to wrap it up here, and I'm going to share information about 5 different types of friends that I found on the internet. And I thought that this was very interesting because I want you to be able to look at your circle and see if any of your friends fall into these categories. So the first type of friend is the dreamer. They are the one that will help you to imagine the what ifs. You feel energized around them. Dreamers have a strong tendency to be highly creative and they make you believe that anything is possible. Do you have someone like that in your life? Or the driver. They help you to bring the dream to reality. They put action behind the things that they are willing to help you with. They have the ability to be able to break things down into actionable steps, and they know how to get things done, and they thrive on the thrill of the challenge. The motivator. This person inspires you. They keep pushing you towards your goals. They help you to realize that there is a purpose and a plan for your goals, and that only you can bring that to fruition. The supporter. This is a true friend. You can let down your guard with this person and just be yourself. The good, the bad, and the ugly. They are your safe haven. This person will be with you through life and along the journey. They're excited when you realize success and support you in times of need. And last but not least, the devil's advocate. This person is the critical thinker in the bunch. They ask a lot of questions to gain understanding so that they can help you think it through. They will tell you the truth and won't sugarcoat it. You may not always like what they have to say, but they are often the voice of reason. Now, as you think about your different types of friends, you may see that there are several people that fall in both of those and those different types of friends. Like they might be the devil advocate and the supporter. They might be the motivator and the dreamer. People can play to their strengths at different times, friends that fall in all different categories, or you may have it all in one particular friend. But I want you to take a moment to make a list of those that are closest to you and just see where they land. So, who is in your inner circle? In this graphic, of course, you are in the center. But then as you go outside to the next level, you have your family, and then you have your friends, and then you have associates and everyone else. And so you want to be mindful of the social norms that you fall prey to. You want to be mindful of those individuals who can influence you, or are you influencing people, whether it's positive or negative. And so that's what we wanted to share today, was the circle of influence. And if you would like to know more about our trainings and you would like to connect with us, you can reach us at 7171 Highway 6 North, Suite 116. You can go to our website, which is rehabyourlife.org, or you can call us or send us an email. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And we will be back next week with some additional training in our Lunch and Learn series. Have a great rest of your afternoon.